Max Verstappen. Some say he's the next Michael Schumacher, some say he's a fraud, but today he's my rival. During qualifying for the 2022 Dutch Grand Prix, Max Verstappen set a pole time of a 1:10.342, a time which I'm going to try to beat today in F1 22. I was nervous but ready to take on this monstrous challenge. In fact, I was so ready that I just decided to drive off track and invalidate my lap for some reason. But the next lap was going pretty well until I invalidated again, and then you'll never guess what happened on the lap after this. I was approaching the same corner, and yet again, I invalidated.
No! Not
again. Eventually though, I figured out how to complete a lap without driving off track, and I set my first lap time, which was a 1:11.972, so about 1.7 seconds off Verstappen's time, so a long way to go. Luckily, I improved by nearly 4 tenths just the next lap, and then at this point, I decided to fully switch off traction control so I could drive faster. Because believe it or not, that is actually what I'm trying to do. However, I very predictably spun on literally my first lap without traction control, and then my second lap, and then my third. After a few more laps and many more spins, I finally completed the lap, and I managed to gain about 4 tenths to take me to within a second of Verstappen's time. A few laps later, and I gained my another tenth of a second, so it was looking alright. Unfortunately, following this though, I started to suffer from a very serious issue. This is Webby87, an F1 22 player trying his best to be as quick as possible. However, he is currently unable to do that as he suffers from a skill issue. For just £3 a month, you can donate to the F1 22 Skill Issue Support Fund to help players like myself from being so bad and bottling so many good looking laps. Well, luckily I guess enough of you guys donated, and about 20 laps after my last personal best, I finally improved again, and by a decent margin, to take me into the 110s. I wasn't going to get ahead of myself though, and I straight away completely bottled another lap. A few laps later though, I had a very lovely sector 3 and then gained my another quarter of a second. And then the next lap I spun, and then the next lap I spun, and then the next lap I spun, and then guess what happened on the next lap? At this point, I was only about a tenth and a half away from Verstappen's time, but it was starting to feel almost impossible to complete a lap and gain some time. I was able to find bits of time here and there, but then I would just spin like a prime Anthony. A few laps later though, and I actually did manage to gain some time, but just by anything, so who actually cares? 2 laps after this though, I improved by almost a tenth to take me to just 0.041 seconds away from my target time. I was so close, yet so far, and a small improvement which before would have felt easy now feels like a mountain to climb. I of course pushed on to try and grab that extra bit of time I needed. However, the mistakes were just creeping back in. It felt like every time I was up in my delta, I would just lose it and ruin the lap. The longer this went on for, the more I was getting flashbacks to Austria, when I spent many hours being so painfully close to Jan Ottmer's time in F1 2021. And it may seem like it's easy to just improve by a few hundredths, and that I'm deliberately dragging this out until the inevitable, but that's the problem. While my delta and past laps make it look like I'm so close, it obviously doesn't make any difference when I actually start a lap. Realistically, I still have to be just as quick now, regardless of my past lap times, and it felt like I needed an absolutely perfect lap. And speaking of, look at this lap so far, oh my god, purple sector 1, I'm absolutely flying. About a tenth up going through turn 9, which is absolutely more than And if you're just joining us and you've missed out on any of the action and you're a Sky Q or a Sky Class customer, you can press the red subscribe button down below to catch up on all of the amazing action. There was a lot more of this and it was starting to get very frustrating, and roughly 30 laps later I was on another very solid looking lap, almost a tenth up on the delta, and then I get to this corner. And bam! Oh my god, look at that. You probably thought I was going to bottle it there, but no, of course not. How dare you question my abilities as I go through the banking, and I absolutely smash Verstappen's time, and there it is. On the 127th attempt, I've just become the first ever person to beat Verstappen to pole at Zandvoort, and I did it first time as well. I have to say, the one thing I learned from doing this, other than that I'm clear of a 2-time world champion, is that Zandvoort is such a fun track to drive. I think it must be the banking which allows you to carry so much speed through corners. And I mean, look at that. The gameplay just looks sped up right now. Usually after doing these videos, I have crippling PTSD when I watch the gameplay back. But this time I watch it and I just want to drive Zandvoort again. And so now feels like the right time for another very insightful track guide. Okay, well here we go then, starting my lap. We go into turn 1, we brake, and then we turn, and then we accelerate. Look at that, pretty smooth. Using a little bit of curb, a lot of curb there. And we just kind of flick it, and then brake in. Gotta love this corner. Look how early you can get on the power. That is just so crazy, honestly. Here you just drive really. Yeah, into this corner, little brake and a flick. I had so much grip on this last lap. I don't know why, like I couldn't normally carry that much speed for this corner. But look at that, it's going pretty well so far. The Delta is smiling at me and going through this corner. A bit wobbly there, but you know, we carry on, that doesn't matter too much. And then here, believe it or not, we actually accelerate out of the corner. And then down the straight, we go and brake and we turn. I actually stayed in 4th gear there. I don't know if you meant to do that, but I was usually going gear 3, so I was actually in an accident, just like you. And look at that, pretty nice and tidy through that corner. Not too much curb, as you will literally die if you do. And there we go, that is a lap of Zandvoort. Well, that is all for this video. Obviously, like all of the other similar videos I've done, I am obviously aware that there's still a lot of people faster than me, who I do respect a lot. And I also don't actually think I'm better than Verstappen, just in case you didn't pick up on that. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.